Hey, what's up guys? Houston here. Let me put you all to some of the easiest places you possibly can get up to $35,000 when you have bad credit. Now, here's the thing about it that you have to understand. There's 5 levels when you're getting bad credit, okay? So there's CDFIs, there's the credit unions, there's the banks, okay? Then you have the Fintechs, okay? Then, of course, you have like your pawn shops or whatever. The thing about it is there's always a place for you to get some money. But let me stop right here because I want to tell you guys something that's going to help a lot of you all. And this is how you can put anywhere from $500 up to $1,000 in your pocket real quick. If you Google class action lawsuit, okay, or just class action, Google class action. Okay. Now, when you want to see a link that says class action lawsuit, you can sign up for that. All right. And what it does is going to tell you all of the major companies and the major brands that have class action lawsuits against them. And you can look on there to see if you ever used any of those brands. And you can put in a request for a check. And the reason I know this works because I have an associate, he always does it. And I'm talking about this guy usually comes up with a couple $1,000s. And the good thing about that is that you don't have to have a receipt. Okay, so a lot of those class action lawsuits and stuff, you look at the brands that you know more likely you used and stuff, you can put in a claim against those brands and you can qualify for funding, okay, from those lawsuits, all right? So that's a quick way for you to actually get some money, all right? Now, here's the thing about these loans. Like I said, with these here loans, when you have bad credit, there's levels to it. All right. So where do you start? What are the easiest ones? And I always tell you, like, you want to start with like your tribal lenders. All right. And the reason why is because those tribal lenders, they're not concerned if you're working a job or not. All they want to know if you have an active checking account, if you have regular deposits. Now, with some lenders, the minimum after taxes they want you to have is at least 500, okay? Some of them want you to have at least $1,000 deposit after taxes. Now, you must have an active checking account. I cannot stress that more. So it doesn't matter if you're receiving child support, welfare, government subsidies. It doesn't matter, okay? You still can qualify, all right? That's the reason why I tell you, like, Viva payday loans. Interest rates is 5.99 up to 35.99. That gives the 5,000, right? Now, like I said, I do tell you all about like direct lenders, Uprover, Rise Credit. Now, those are direct lenders. The interest rates is definitely going to be much higher. But the good part about it, they're not focusing on the personal credit. They're focusing on, again, activity in your active checking account. All right. So your tribal lenders is going to be your first ones. Then you may want to check out your CDFIs. Those are your community development financial institutes. All right. That's the reason I continue to tell you guys it's levels to it in terms of building up to get capital. Another platform for like tribal lenders is low credit finance, by the way. That's the one that gives up to $50,000. Also, max personal loans. They also give up to $50,000 as well. Just keep in mind, again, with you dealing with tribal lenders, the interest rates are definitely going to be much higher. All right. Now, again, going back to the CDFIs. Again, when you have bad credit, you have to find out which CDFIs that are flexible enough to work with you. And so that's the reason you hear me tell you guys about Opportune, right? That gives up to $10,000. Minimum income after taxes $500, right? Then I tell you guys about People's Trust loans, okay? They give up to $10,000. All right. So those are those type of CDFIs. Then you want to hop over to your credit unions. OK, so in terms of your credit unions, those are the ones that usually they want you to have a relationship with them, usually about 90 days to 6 months. So 3 months to 6 months. All right. However, the thing about it is they're actually giving you loans without doing a hard pull on your credit. So Department of Commerce, Federal Credit Union, they give you $5,000, right? And you have a DCU. Many of you all know about DCU, give up to $2,000, all right? So that's the thing about it. And let me clarify something. And I told you guys, people that work for the federal government, okay, or if you've ever contracted with the federal government, all right, and you depend on the federal government, all right, for that, credit unions are also giving up the bag to you for a personal loan with no credit check. And all they want you to do is have an active account with at least a deposit in it for at least 30 days. And so that's the reason I made that video when I was telling you all about Navy Federal giving $10,000 and Penn Fed giving $6,000. There's other credit unions that are doing the same. And these they also allowing you to skip a payment. So if you have like a personal loan, some of them will let you skip credit card payments, even with car payments. So in terms of actually getting access to capital, just remember, if you're military, you're not receiving pay, you're a government worker not receiving pay, or you're contracted by the government and you're not receiving pay, your local credit unions will give you a loan. Now, in reference to the banks giving anybody a loan with bad credit, they're just doing small dollar loans, okay? And so those small dollar loans are usually less than $1,000. So that's with Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, Bank of America. And they just want to make sure that you have an active checking account. You haven't had any overdrafts, usually within the 6 months to a year, in order to qualify for loans through them. So that's the reason I continue to tell you, there's places to get access to money. Many people, they just don't exercise this information. And so they're like, well, it don't work. It don't work because you never exercised it. So how am I to give you something and you don't use it? That's like you saying, man, I need money to pay my light bill. And I give you the money to pay your light bill, but you don't pay your light bill. So it doesn't make sense for me to give you the money if you ain't going to actually use the money to do what you need to do. So that's the reason why people will say things, well, this don't work or whatever. And then I ask them, did you try it? No. So how do you know it don't work? That's the crazy part about it. And then if they're going off of somebody else, remember that everybody do not have the same type of credit profile. Okay? Nobody has a exact type of profile. I don't care what you do. You can start them out with zero credit. You can add authorized users. You can add regular trade lines. But if they go to the same institution, again, I guarantee there's going to be something that institution will give this one over there, because it may be the relationship. It's one relationship longer than the other. So everybody's situation is not the same. You could have somebody in your house right now and your credit is better than them, and they can go to the bank and get 10 G's while you can't go to the bank and get 1,000, and you scratching your head. It's just the thing about it. It all depends on the relationship. There's different data points that they're actually looking at. So when people say, well, this don't work, it's like, how did you use it? Did you use it, or are you just going off of somebody else? Because if you're going off of somebody else, you never used it, then you cannot predict what will happen to you off of somebody else. I hope that makes sense. Going back to these other places to get money. Now, you also have like other fintechs like Yendo. If you have a car paid off, then they'll give you up to $10,000. You don't even have to have a car paid off. They just want you to have equity in the car, and they will give you up to $10,000, right? So then you have places like Avant that give up to $35,000, right? And you don't have to have a perfect credit score. But again, it's all about the activity, active checking account, how much income and stuff like that. So you have to use some type of logic to think about it. Like, what is it that I have that they would say yes to me versus this other person or whatever? Do you have the right type of income? Do you have enough income? These are things that factor in terms of you getting approved. Okay, so that's the reason why I tell you that. Like with Viva loans, so there's a difference between Viva payday loans and Viva loan, because Viva loans give you $15,000 with bad credit. Again, it's all in a matter of what's on the credit file, you know. And they're not going to do a hard pull on the credit file. They're going to use the third-party credit bureaus to see if the information that you put on the application is matching up with the information when they're looking at credit bureaus. Now, the third-party credit bureaus, usually they're having older, outdated information than what's on that application. And so that would be the number one thing. Again, I cannot stress this enough. It don't even have nothing to do with credit. It's just the information, the address and stuff. So when they're checking these outdated systems and stuff, and that information is not the same as this here outdated system, this is why you get flagged, why you may not be able to get approved. Okay, so I'm just breaking this down so you understand. You have places like Capital One, right? I tell you guys, if you got at least a 580 Capital One's one of the most flexible. You can have an account with them that went bad. If it's over 12 months charge off or whatever, guess what? They're more likely to give you another unsecured credit card. That's the reason I tell you guys, and there's two types of unsecured credit cards, but one of the ones I always tell you to get, because it's going to make it much easier for you to get higher limits, is the Capital One Saver One credit card. Not that Platinum, that Saver One. That's the one that will give you higher limits on it, okay, when you have bad credit. Also, the Capital One Spark Classic Business Card. Yes, you can still get that card even without a business, right? And that one actually gives you a higher limit. It's only 580 credit score. So I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.